Welcome to a conversation with Senator Michael Moore. Senator Michael Moore is our state senator serving the 2nd Worcester District, comprised of a whole lot of cities, a whole lot of towns, and a little part of Worcester, but the most important of which is the community of Shrewsbury, which is the reason we're sitting here in the studio in Shrewsbury and broadcasting this through the good graces of Shrewsbury Media Connection, which feeds all of us all the important news in Shrewsbury, including the discussions with Senator Michael Moore. I'm Kevin Byrne, and this is Senator Moore.
And how
Welcome.
are you?
Been a while.
Well,
We
actually,
did
not
the
too
last
bad.
program, it was the end of April because it was just before, it might have been just a few days.
So
When was our election?
We've strayed from the
Before
monthly?
our elections, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We missed May. I missed
Okay.
May. I don't know what happened to May. May went away. May
May went
was,
fast.
May was graduations of grandchildren.
Yes, it was,
and
yeah.
all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
really
I
and
forget
truly.
about that, yeah.
But since we did that, just so I don't forget to do this, Shrewsbury had its town elections. We elected 2 selectmen, 2 members of the school committee, a bunch of folks on the library trustees. I can't remember what else we did. Oh, town meeting members.
Oh, okay.
We reinstalled or reelected 1/3 of our town meeting representatives.
Is that what it is, 1/3 every 2 years?
Yeah, yeah. It
Okay.
usually works out that way. Yeah. So there's constant renewal.
Okay.
So
But it's not-
the
it's not-
the term is 3 years.
Okay.
For example, I was elected last year, so this is my first year. So I don't know, 20. And you know, since I retired and COVID took over, I don't even know days of the week. So if we get to years, the only thing I know is there was a 2019, there was no 2020, and there was a 2021, because that one did not exist. So that has thrown me off all over the place. What have you been up to since we last did this? Oh, and by the way, our 2 selectmen are Carlos Garcia, a brand new selectman, first time elected selectman.
Congratulations to
town
Carlos,
meeting
and-
member for a long period of time. On Jim Kane, put him, my dear friend Jim Kane, the moderator, put him on the finance committee, and he's our new, brand new, replacing Mo DiPaolo, who after 550 years worth of service, finally decided that's enough of that, I'm going to Arizona. And Beth Cassavan was reelected, and we have 2 members of the board of the school committee who were also elected. It was a fun election, good turnout, and a fun time, because a lot of contests in Shrewsbury.
Oh, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it should be. So sometimes it should be, and sometimes it got a little divisive. But then again, divisiveness is part of democracy, I guess, right?
To a degree. I mean,
to a
debate
degree,
is in conversation, but divisiveness, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it got a little uncomfortable, but there it is. I had lawn signs. All my lawn signs won.
Oh, good.
There we are. So,
Very good.
and then I used to keep them. I have a garage full of lawn signs. Did you ever been by there? Well, you're at my house, but
Yeah.
But in the garage, every time I put them in the garage. I got lawn signs that go back to. I have a Mondale Ferraro lawn sign. Can you believe that?
You've probably
Nobody even knows that Mondale and Ferraro ran for president and vice president of the United States of America.
I was going to say, you probably got a generation out there that never even heard of them.
That's exactly. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to other than you're on the road all over the place? I watch you on Facebook. You are still cutting ribbons. You are going to every kind of opening. You're speaking all over the place. I saw you were reading books to little children.
Yes, yeah.
Just recently.
So
What a
the
busy
ribbon
guy.
cuttings, we've been meeting with the different towns, the boards of selectmen
Sure.
and school committees. The hearings are moving fast, so
Yeah.
I've had a lot of hearings I've had to testify at, and some bills that have come up.
Yeah.
We've got issues with housing that we're trying to deal with, migrant housing that with some of the communities in the district, so we're trying to deal with those issues. I actually had the enjoyment of my daughter graduating college, so that was in May, so that was nice.
That is right.
Yeah, and then and now we
Graduated from college and she's
Yes.
going to move to Brighton, Alston.
Yeah, moving to Cambridge.
Cambridge. Oh my
Cambridge.
God.
Yes.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
So we'll see.
Right across the river.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and then
She and Maura Healy can share digs in,
yeah.
in Cambridge.
Yeah. So
So that's great.
yep.
And the kid has, he's
Yep.
got another year to go.
Oh, he's got 3
Oh,
more.
I'm sorry. He's at UMass.
Yeah, he just finished his first year.
That's right. We had
Yeah.
talked about he had finished the first year.
Yeah.
Did he get a summer job yet?
No, we're still working on that.
Okay.
We're still
We had
working on
talk-
that.
We had talked about that.
Yeah,
Why
so-
don't kids have summer jobs?
Well, you know, it's now that all his friends have jobs, he's bored during the day.
Ah,
So
okay.
now we're working to try to see if we can
Okay.
find him something this late.
I'm not going to just sit around the house and just.
So you know how you'll make a recommendation and it's like yeah, and because it's you recommending it, the parent they
Sure.
just don't put it aside.
Yeah.
So now, when I told him 6 months ago or 3 months ago, well, you know, you got to start applying for these jobs now.
Right.
And he didn't. Oh yeah, I'm all set. Well, now he's under the crunch to find something.
Now we're in the crunch time.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so-
Oh my God! I didn't think that was really going to be as difficult as I thought it is. Okay, we got a lot of stuff. Our good friend, Director of Communications. Now I forgot his first name.
Alex.
Alex. Alex.
You get the last name.
Well, Alex Motafian.
Yes.
Alex Motafian, okay? We're going to send a copy of this to Alex, so he sees that I have finally learned his name, because I got it printed out here on this piece
Well,
of paper.
we'll
Has
have to
given me 16 pages worth of the budget and all the items that are coming up on the budget. Let's just start with an overview, and I know we want to talk about the Senate now. That we're out of the House of Representatives with all that budget stuff. Now it's all over in the Senate, and
The Senate's done it,
Senate
and
is-
we've
is
sent
now
it
in
back.
the process of doing it. Okay.
So-
The Senate approved a $55.9 billion budget for fiscal 2024, which, by the way, starts July 1st.
Yes.
This is June 13th. Okay.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Going to be all finished by July 1st.
Oh yeah.
It'll be the first time in the history of the world that it's ever happened.
Oh, you get the 112 budget process.
Okay. And the Senate approved 478 amendments, adding $82.2 million in spending to the budget, all dealing with all sorts of things, 16 pages of which. But let's focus right at the moment on this tax relief program. How do we get money back to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Senator Moore? And
Well-
how is it going to be accomplished?
Well, in many ways. So the House.
And give me the answer to that in 3 sentences or less.
Okay, we're gonna earned income tax,
Okay.
rental tax deductions,
Do-da.
circuit breakers.
Okay.
So basically, but
I'm
this
being
does
funny,
tie.
don't take me serious.
This does tie into the budget though, because
It
the
does,
House has
certainly.
the House has already done their tax package before they did the budget.
Okay.
We did the budget, but we didn't do the tax package. So what we did in the budget was we blocked off, we appropriated $600 million, which will cover our portion of the tax reform.
When you say our portion.
That's the Senate's proposal.
Okay.
So now we
What was the House's proposal?
this House proposal, I think it was roughly 570, 580. So 570, 580 million dollars.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
So
they-
relatively
So
close.
it's relatively close. So what we did is because we wanted to make sure that we included the cost of the tax reform in our budget. So
Okay.
that's basically what we appropriated for that.
Okay. So what's in the Senate thing?
So the Senate, we have increased rental tax deduction, which is going to go up from $3,000 to $4,000 for rental tax
Okay,
deduction.
something that you mentioned that the last time or at one point, and I never knew in my entire life that there was a deduction you could take for rent, probably because I can't remember when I ever paid rent.
That was many years ago.
Many, many years
Many
ago.
years ago.
And I didn't
Yeah.
even know there was. Okay, so you want to up that.
And then we
Good.
also we're increasing the earned income tax credit
I never
from
understood
30 to
what-
40%
I
of
never
the federal
understood
tax credit.
what that meant. It's on my tax return. When I get my tax return, English literature major from Boston College, I rely on this marvelous, I've had several of over many years, who give me a package that comes in a wheelbarrow, okay, and they say, "Here, Kev, sign that page." And I said, do you want, he used to say, "Do you want me to explain it to you?" I said, "No, just tell me what's the bottom line." Okay. Typical lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is an earned income tax credit? What do you get?
So it just looks at, so you have to go to the federal credit, the federal
There's a form, right.
income, yes.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a credit on your income,
Okay.
which will help you obviously get more money back in your
So
taxes.
it's a deduction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you guys want to raise it from 30% to 40%?
Yes. Yep.
Now, that's on, you can only do it on the state tax. You can't do it.
Yes, we can't do it on the federal. We can only do it on the
Okay,
state.
all right, but it increases there. Okay. This other thing says there's a senior circuit breaker tax credit.
Yes.
What's senior circuit breaker?
So it's, well, let's go first. It's $750 currently in the Senate.
$750.
Yep. And we're recommending it go to $1,500.
All right, you want to double it.
Now, I think the House actually may go from 15 to 3,000, so that might be, or 2,000, so there's a difference between the two.
Okay.
So basically, with the circuit breaker tax credit.
For seniors?
For seniors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we have
Housing Development Incentive Program tax credit.
So right now, this is to try to incentivize more housing. We've got a backlog.
That would be a really good idea.
Yep, so we've got a backlog of housing projects in this program. So this is looking to increase the to deal with the backlog by appropriating another $57 million to address the backlog.
Okay.
So it's a one-time boost to try to
All
get
right,
these
so
projects
when
moving.
you say there's a backlog of projects, I mean, what projects? Who's doing? I mean, is it development? Housing projects?
Housing projects, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, so this would actually help provide the funding to get those projects moving.
Okay.
So
Provided to whoever is building the housing.
housing.
This is not state buildings.
no, this is private housing.
Okay. All right. All right. So you want to do that to see if we can get things moving. By the
Yes.
way, was Eddie Augustus the housing chief
Yes, he
when
was
we
just
did
made
our program
secretary.
in April?
Yeah,
No, I don't
just-
think he was when we did our last
No,
program.
he just got made like within the last month.
Yeah, okay, there it is. So let me tell you, God love him, he's taking over quite a job. A new cabinet position, by the way.
New cabinet position, and he's going to have a lot of issues to deal with.
Boy, has he got some issues to deal with.
Yes, yeah.
God love him, he's a good guy.
Yeah, well,
I go back to him when he was working for Jim McGovern. He was the local guy for Jim.
Yeah, he was
Then
his
got involved,
chief
and
of
then-
staff at one point.
And chief of staff, that's exactly
yeah.
right. Then
So-
became senator, then became
City manager.
then became
The dean at
chancellor at
yeah.
Some college someplace.
Dean College or something
Yeah,
like that.
and
yeah.
then, wow, decided to do this. God love him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then
All
we
right.
have housing development incentive program, which is an annual cap from 10. We're increasing the cap from 10 million to 30 million for 2024, and go beyond to keep up the high demand for the program in gateway cities.
And gateway cities include Worcester.
You include Worcester.
Worcester,
Worcester.
as we say in Boston.
And then we're also raising the annual authorization
Okay,
for
so
the
this
low-income housing tax
there is
credit.
something called a development incentive program that's in existence.
Yep, that's going to target.
And that, again, is to incentivize folks to build housing.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And now we're increasing the annual authorization for the low-income housing tax credit from $40 to $60 million.
I don't understand what that is.
So basically,
There's
it's
a low-income housing tax credit, low-income housing.
Yep, low income. So it deals with housing for low income.
For low-income people. Okay.
So then we're going to increase the child and dependent tax credit from 180
Oh,
to
I
300.
remember. We had discussed this earlier, right?
And-
This is important.
Yes.
For people who are taking care of older people.
Older
or,
people,
Or
their
their
kids, or
own,
depend-
or their
yeah.
own kids,
Yep.
right.
Now, again, I think this is something that you'll probably see adjusted, but the house, I believe, is a higher number.
You talking about the estate tax?
No,
Oh,
the
I'm
for this child independent tax.
Yeah.
So I think the house has a higher number.
I hope so.
Yeah, for some reason, I think it was 600 sticking out of my mind. Then,
I mean, 310, you know, as people have said, including myself, I said, you know, every buck counts when you're at that stage of proceedings, but still, 310 doesn't go a whole long way.
no, it goes fast. You know, people, you look at it and say, oh, that may sound like a lot,
Yeah,
but it goes fast.
It sure does.
Yep.
My God.
Then we're going to look at raising the estate tax trigger from 1 million to 2 million.
It's about time. We're 100 years behind in
Yes.
that piece of
Yep.
legislation.
So-
and without the so-called cliff,
Yes.
which is there now. And the cliff meaning it's $1 million, but if you have taxable, adjustable tax, estate tax, and it's $1,100,000, you don't pay the tax on $100, you pay it on $1 million.
Yes. Well, actually, all you need is $1,001,000. You're paying the
$1,
tax on all of
yeah,
it.
which was absolutely.
So what
crazy.
we don't include in ours that the House has in theirs is the reducing the rate on the short-term capital gains tax from 12% to 5%,
Okay.
and the single sales tax factor. So basically, so I've been,
Okay, short-term capital gains. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's
that's a 12 months or less.
Pardon?
12 months or less.
Yeah. Okay.
So right now,
That's quick turnover of people who are selling
right.
stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the single sales tax factor, which right now,
I don't understand that, and you know, I read that twice. The stuff that Alex has provided me with. You got to explain this to me.
so right now,
It's a business deal. I mean, it's relating to business, right?
it's relating to businesses that are based in Massachusetts.
Right.
Right, and not all. So some companies, companies have, we've already exempted from the single sales tax factor. So basically, we have some companies that are just right now looked at.
All right. So when we're talking about a sales tax, I understand the sales tax. When I go in and buy something, there's a sales tax on it. I don't know what the percentage is, but I pay a sales tax on items that I buy.
Yep.
Okay. Not necessarily, you know, toothpaste and stuff like that, but whatever. This is that what we're talking about? Who? Go ahead, explain it.
Oh, good.
I can't go any further because I don't understand.
All right. So basically, there's other states don't have the 3-factor, which we have. So right now, there's 3 factors that you could look at for taxing a company that's incorporated here in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So
this is a sales tax on companies.
on the companies and what they would sell, if their revenues coming in.
Okay.
So now we have some
So
that are
this
just
is-
based.
this is-
We have some that are just based in that are just that. We have others that have a 3-factor, which can include income tax and can include property tax.
Okay.
So what we want to do is right now, there are those of us that think, why are we penalizing the home-based companies that are here in Massachusetts operating
Okay.
with a 3-factor tax?
Okay.
When we have some, like manufacturing, they don't have this. They don't. There are already some that are exempt from it.
Okay.
Especially now, where we have all the remote working taking place, where you could open up a company in California, you can have all your staff working here.
Exactly
Well, we'd much rather have the company based here.
Right.
But this is like a $70 or $80 million hit to the tax revenues for Massachusetts,
It's a hit.
to revenue coming in.
Okay. All right.
So, I am going to be filing an amendment because I think it is something that we should try to address.
Okay.
Because I would rather keep companies here, based here,
Rather
than have them.
All right. Okay. So that's all. There's a lot of public talk and media talk about the fact that there are a lot of companies who are businesses that
there's a lot- and
that
right now
are
the
concerned and are moving out of state.
And the financial services right now, you have banks, you have all the financial services right now that have to deal with this. So there's some language that are in other states that provide, there's an option, I haven't got the full breakdown of this yet. There's an option of choosing the sales tax factor that you want to be looked at.
Okay.
So I'm looking at trying to, I'm going to be filing an amendment on that. I'm also going to be filing a property tax exemption for disabled veterans, and this would provide.
I saw that, right.
Yeah, so this would provide a tax exemption to veterans 65 or older who are partially or totally permanently disabled. The exemption would equal the percentage of the veteran's permanent service-connected disability as determined by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. The cost of the exemption would be paid by the Commonwealth, not the individual cities or towns. I'm also looking at.
So that means if people are receiving VA benefits from a disability, at the moment, that's taxable?
Yes, well, no, this would be for your property tax.
This is property tax. Oh,
This
okay.
is property
All
tax.
right, I got you. Okay, I'm off base. Okay.
Yep, so,
All right.
and right now, so this would,
Oh, sure.
right now, it would be a loss to the cities and towns, but I'm proposing the state pick up the cost of that.
I got you. Okay, I see what you're
Then
saying.
I want to equalize the Department of Revenue interest rates. So currently, a taxpayer that fails to make a timely payment is required to pay interest
Yep.
after the statutory due date.
Yep.
The interest for such delinquent tax liability is the federal short-term rate, plus 4%, compounded daily. In contrast, when the Department of Revenue owes a taxpayer a refund, the rate of the interest is the federal short-term rate plus 2 percentage points, computed as a simple interest.
It's outrageous.
So the
It
Department of
really
Revenue
is
gets, right,
outrageous.
so I want to equalize it. So I wanted, the legislation would restore the equity to our tax code by subjecting the taxpayer and the Commonwealth to the same interest rate,
right.
the federal rate plus 2 percentage points.
I can remember when I was practicing law, although I did some real estate stuff, buying and selling and stuff like that, but I remember seeing foreclosures on places in which the interest and penalties exceeded the amount that was due, for Pete's sake, by the time they got to
Yeah.
it, really and truly.
And you think how fair this is. All right, so if you owe them, they're going to charge you a rate that's higher, but if they owe you, it's going to be reduced.
Yeah.
It should be it should be one standard.
That makes no sense.
And I'm also looking at a taxation of small businesses in the Commonwealth, which would increases the range of the entry-level tax imposed on S corporations from 6 million to 12 million to 12 million to 18 million,
Okay.
and ties future increases to the CIP.
Okay.
And I'm also looking at it. I'm also trying to get a college tuition tax deduction,
I saw that.
which allows 50% deduction
50%
of the tuition.
of the tuition.
Now, the tuition, people got to remember, the tuition's a small. If you've got someone going to a state school for $30,000,
Right.
the tuition's maybe $2,000 of that, or $3,000. The rest is all fees. so even though but it's 50%.
Okay.
So
That's an interesting.
yeah, Massachusetts actually has one of the lowest tuition rates.
So this is only on public colleges.
Yeah, this-
I
yeah,
mean, you
yeah.
you guys can't muck around with
the
Boston College or Harvard or
yeah,
stuff
no.
like that.
So this is public.
Okay.
So, and this is where Massachusetts, to increase the tuition rate, the Board of Higher Education has to approve it.
Okay.
I know they did a slight one this past year for UMass, but it's not often they increase the tuition rate. The fees are where everyone pays the price. So the John and Abigail grant.
I was never aware of
Yeah,
that.
so the John and Abigail grant, which if your son or daughter, if your child gets over a certain grade point average,
Yeah.
can get free tuition
Right.
if they get above a certain score in the SATs.
Right.
So a lot of people, I hate to say it, parents go there and they get sticker shock. They go in there thinking, oh, free tuition. They get there and they realize
It's all fees.
it's all fees.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
God.
I never knew until I chaired higher ed.
Right.
That's when I chaired higher ed, and we tried to get
you,
some.
You had a kid that went to Tufts.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different deal because
Yeah.
that's a private.
Yeah.
private nonprofit.
So we tried, at one point, we were looking to try to get some transparency or honesty in pricing, but it was something that we just couldn't get through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, a lot of parents, they go there, they think, oh, look, my son and daughter got this great deal. Oh, it's a great achievement, I should say. Then you get there, then the sticker shock comes in, and it's like, okay, all right, you saved the $3,000 there, but you got 27 coming here.
Right. That is funny because it brings to mind my wife, who taught at Notre Dame Academy. It used to be Notre Dame until they raised the tuition. Now it's Notre Dame Academy, and she used to laugh like lazy. Whatever the tuition was, it was a private school and it was costly. It was not inexpensive, as we knew, because we had 2 daughters who went there and paid the tuition. But then there were always these tagged on things. There was a sports fee. I don't know,
sports fee, a parking fee.
Parking fee, but it had to do with one. And then Virginia says, somehow they added on one called the religion fee. And I said,
It's a religious school.
it's a religious school. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it was to do programs relating to, they had a love and action program in which they sent the kids out to do projects, charitable projects all over the place. And there was, when she finally found out, it was a legitimate thing. They'd put them on buses and they'd take them someplace, and they'd clean up poor people's houses and stuff of that nature.
Nice.
So there was a cost to it anyway. But when she ever saw it, she said, "My God, there's a religion fee."
That's,
Well, what if you went in there and said, "I don't have a religion"? No, that was.
So just quickly, going back to the budget, some amendments that I was able to get passed.
Yeah.
Expanding access to hormonal contraceptives.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it authorizes pharmacists to prescribe hormonal contraceptives.
What's a hormonal contraceptive? A pill?
The pill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So right now, there's prescriptions needed. And so if this is in the Senate side, it's got to hope the House adopts it. The redo funding guardrails. So this requires 75% of funding.
Does that mean that local pharmacists are not authorized to?
Right now, you got to get a good prescription. So this would authorize them.
Oh, the pharmacist.
Yes,
to
the pharmacist to prescribe it.
Ah, so it's not
opening
the
up
doctor
access,
giving
right.
you the prescription.
So this way, right now, we have a crisis or a shortage of primary care physicians, and we have people who can't get access to it. So this would open up the process
that's
more.
great.
So
That's great.
so I got to get the House to adopt that. Redo funding. This is really an economic development grant program for special.
Guardrails.
Well, that's just the term. This is
Oh,
so
but
this
I'm
is
saying,
for
all right,
local,
what's
yeah.
REDO? REDO is Regional Economic Development Organization.
So that's
right?
just provided funding for local regional economic
Okay,
development.
we have run out of time. I am so sorry. I haven't been paying the least bit of attention, but Liz is going to fix it so that I can say thank you, Mike, and thank you, folks, for viewing us.
One other thing, we got $40,000 for Lake Quinsigamond to de-weed it, and $35,000 for Dean Park ADA accessibility.
There we are. We got it.